So during this, I was talking about basically an overarching idea. So rather than talking about the technicalities of anything, we're not talking about grams of protein or how much carbs should you eat and when and all this kind of stuff. It's just some ideas of why certain people kind of struggle with things and how to get around it, just from the idea of following some sort of plan, so rather than the detail. So the first reason why people can struggle sometimes is they run out of ideas. Eating the same thing every day. So sometimes when you follow a plan, you get this thing in your head and you've got a limited resource. You've only got a certain amount of stuff that you can do. You know you've got these few bits and pieces. You know what's good, but you know that you've got no variation to it. So you may have these, say, 4 meals that are great. You know they're awesome. You know that this is exactly what you want to be eating. But you don't want to eat the same 4 meals every day. It gets really boring. That's why a lot of people fall off, because they've just got no idea of how to adapt what they've got, no new ideas. They get bored, they go back to their old ways. So a few ways around it. One is have a support group. The more of you doing it, the more ideas you're going to have between you. If everyone's got their 4 go-to meals that they know are really healthy, you've got 10 people, suddenly you've got 40 meals. It's good to have that support group there just for these little bits of ideas, and not just as motivation, which is what most people use a support group for, but to say, you know what, why don't you try this? This is what I had last night, it was really good. Oh, I've never thought of that. So it gives you those extra options. You also need to make sure that the stuff you've got is adjustable. So if you know you need to eat, for instance, a source of protein at every meal, a couple of portions of vegetables, that's a simple rule. You can change up those things. That protein comes from different sources. Those vegetables can be different every time. You've made different meals, but you've got an easy plan. Whereas if you've got a plan that says you need to eat a grilled chicken breast and some broccoli every meal, it gets really boring really quickly. You can't really change that. So have that support group to help you out with ideas, and make sure all your ideas are adjustable. So you've got things that you can turn them, tweak them into slightly different meals so you don't get bored of having the same thing. The next thing is you need more help. So you've got a rule book, you haven't got a clue what the rule book's about. A lot of people follow diets from magazines, from books. The industry has got a massive thing about making diet books. You go to any bookshop, there's a whole section on diet books. It's just a little bit too complicated sometimes. You just need that extra help. There might be 1 or 2 rules in there that you don't understand, you're not sure about. You need to adjust for you. It doesn't work for you, whatever it is. So basically, you end up with no guidance. As much as you've got a book, you've got nothing there to help you, nothing that you can question. Most of the time, you can't just call up the author. You can't just get hold of them on Facebook or an email and say, I haven't got a clue what you're on about in this book. Can you tell me what this is about? Okay, the rules are sometimes far too complicated. A lot of the time when people write these kind of books, they need to pad it out. It needs to be a book. They don't want you to think, why should I buy this book for $22.99 when it's only 20 pages long? I don't want to do that. That's a pamphlet. I don't need that. So they put a lot of complicated stuff in there and overcomplicate everything just to make it kind of fit it out. So ways around this is to get help from someone with the knowledge. So whether you're following some sort of a plan, or if you just got that nutritional knowledge that you want to improve, having someone you actually have access to help you out is the easiest way to go. Because then you can ask those questions. If something's a bit complicated, you can say, I don't understand that. What's this for? Just as importantly, you can ask why. A lot of people struggle with things if they don't understand why they're doing it. If you've got the ability to say, okay, I understand that, I know why I need to do that now, and I can get on with it and know what this is for, why it's helping me. Again, a bit of a theme going through a lot of these is having that support group help. If you've got a few mates that are doing it, you turn around and say, I don't really understand this rule, I don't get this. Someone else might say, well, I get it. This is because of why. So you've got that option to have a kind of a 2 heads are better than 1, 3 heads are better than 2 kind of approach. The next one happens all the time. Your motivation tapers off, and it's usually for a couple of reasons. Your friends aren't helping, and you get bored and you've got no one to turn to. So the amount of times people have gone out and gone, I'm going to have a chicken salad. Oh, no, I can't have chicken salad. This is, it's just boring. My mate's going to shout at me. Oh, what are you eating that for? What are you eating that for? So your motivation is quite dependent on people having there to support you. Quite important things to help you out with this is have a support network, but have it of people that aren't always directly within your kind of immediate friendship group as well. Because you're not always going to get everyone in your friendship group doing the same thing as you. It's just not going to happen. If you've got those people from outside of it, you can get that advice without having to turn to that friend and then going, oh, you're going to ask me about salad again, aren't you? And you just get that actually thinking, you know, I'm not going to bother asking you about this. I'm not going to ask you help because you're just going to take the mick out of me a little bit. But they don't understand why you're doing it. Maybe they don't need to do it. Maybe they just don't feel like doing it. So they're not going to help you out. Having those people on that extra kind of outside support group is going to give you all the help you need without worrying about your motivation tapering off because your mates are going, oh yeah, whatever, I'm kind of bothered. And again, someone to give you helpful advice. So again, having that expert there that can help you out and say, you know what, if you're doing this and you're out and your mates say this is what you can do. This is how you can kind of get the help. So motivation tapering off can be a big one, usually because of people putting you down. So having that outside support that's not nice and close in can be a real help. This is one of the biggest ones. Events get in the way. So life happens. That's the way it is. Events will always get in the way. So everyone say, well, you know what, I can't start this new diet now. I can't start healthy eating because I'm going out this weekend, or it's my mate's birthday, or my friend's wedding, or whatever it is. And you say, oh, I'll start after that. And then you think, okay, well, I'm going to start now. Oh, actually, no, I've got something else on now. There's always going to be something getting in the way. So you know what? Plan for it. Nice and easy. If you plan for it and you've got help to turn to, you've got people to go to and say, you know what, I'm going to a party. I don't want to look like the picture that's on here now. I don't want to put my face with cake like that. What do I do about it? Oh, your support group might turn around and say, well, why don't you take this? Why don't you use this as a plan? Oh, I did this last time I did it and it worked really well. You get that person with the advice and say, you know, what's the best thing to eat if this is going to be my options? If you've got that plan, you can still live your life. It's not like you can never go out again. It's not like you can never socialize. It's just you have a plan, you know what you're doing, you stick to it, you don't ruin your goals. It gives you that opportunity to get started when you want to get started, not continually wait for certain things happening. This is one which a lot of people don't think about. So, you think you're eating healthily, but somehow it don't always feel right. You're feeling a little bloated, you're feeling tired, you're lethargic all the time. You think you're eating right, but it's just not helping you. One example of this is something I always talk about in breakfasts. So I'm generally starting, 6 a.m. PT sessions or boot camps. So I'm in here pretty early. I need something pretty quick to be able to eat. So my go-to is a bit of either natural yogurt, Greek yogurt, something like that, with some crushed nuts, maybe a few berries. Blueberries are a good one for me. That's something I go to quite a lot. And it's something that I've said to a lot of people, why don't you try this? However, if you don't deal very well with dairy, then you're not going to feel good at the end of that. You're just going to get that. What you think is a nice healthy breakfast with proteins, fats, antioxidants, and berries, all good stuff, actually is just making you feel rubbish. One thing that most people don't think about in terms of this is that if your body is trying to deal with something it doesn't like, it will put all its focus on getting rid of that thing. It will try and do everything it can to get that out of your system. An easy one to go with, which most people kind of know about, we've talked about quite a lot in other things, is alcohol. Your body doesn't like alcohol. It turns around and says, right, well, every time we have this, you feel in a certain way. It's not very good. We're not going to be able to do our fight or flight response. If we get attacked, we ain't running any quick. We're not going to be able to fight. So we'll get this out of the system so that we're good for that. Your kind of survival instinct kicks in with your body. If it's doing that, then it's not going to be doing anything else you want it to. So your body won't burn fat because it's too busy dealing with the alcohol. If you've got a drama with gluten or dairy or anything like that, if your body has to deal with that, it wants to get rid of it. It knows it can't deal with it. It will spend time getting rid of it instead of doing the things you want to do, like burning fat. Even though you think you're eating healthily, and it may well be things that you've been advised to eat from good sources, from us, from reputable kind of websites and books and things, it just might not work for you personally because you can't digest that very well. The best thing to do to get around this is to eliminate, to find out what is a problem and do it in a structured way so you can see what's the problem. A good way to do this is, as much as I hate the word detox, it gets used quite a lot, some people use it. Detoxes can work in terms of an elimination thing. So we're not talking doing juice diets and any rubbish like that. It's just a case of cutting out all the things that people generally have dramas with, things like gluten and dairy, alcohol, caffeine, all those kind of things that can cause you to feel a bit rubbish. Cut them all out and then slowly reintroduce them and see whether it does make a difference. You might find actually you don't deal well with dairy. So you just need to limit how much of that is in your diet or restrict it completely. It depends how you feel during that. If you do it in a structured way, you can find out that thing that's getting in the way of your fat loss. Next thing is what to do after your program. I call it a program, but a diet, whatever it is that you might be following. Most people's kind of go-to of that is going back to their old habits. But what's the point in doing it? The other one is try it again. Do I start again? Do I go from the beginning? Generally, that will lead back to the first thing we talked about. You get bored, you're doing the same thing again and again. You end up eating the same thing. Even if someone's giving you a week's meal plan, you're going to eat that every week forever. A big one on this is you get people who go on to all sorts of things, such as your Weight Watchers or Slim World or Light Life or whatever these plans are, and say, I'm going back on that because that worked for me. However, did it really work for you? If you're going back on it, then it hasn't really worked because you've had to go back to it and start again. And it means you've come off it. It means you've finished. You've gone back to your old habits and needed to go back. So what you need to do is make sure you've got something that is sustainable. It carries on. So even if you decide you're doing something fairly intense, you're doing a short burst to get you in the game, it needs to have some sort of a roll-on effect. So it will transition you into what your normal eating will turn out to be. So that ongoing plan, and transition's the word. You're not going to go from one thing straight into another. You're just going to transition into what your normal eating would be. Again, we go back to those easy to adapt rules. So if you've got certain rules like you need to eat protein at every meal, that's pretty easily adaptable. You can make sure that all the time you're doing that, you're changing what protein it's coming from, whether you're eating that from meats, from whatever it is you want to do. So long as you can adapt that and have your protein at every meal, that's something that's going to continue on without you going, right, it's Monday, it's chicken, it's Tuesday, it's pork, it's Wednesday, it's beef, and it gets really monotonous. So, what you need for all these things to help you out is surround yourself with like-minded people to help you, support you, and be accountable to you. So that's your support group. Like I said, make sure it's a support group that's maybe a little outside your close-knit as well. So that small group of friends. Try and go that little bit beyond it as well. People that you don't spend all your time with, because then if you need that help, that little bit of extra push, you can get it from those people that aren't always with you. So when you're with those people, you've got the extra help. You've got access to someone with that knowledge. So someone's there to turn and say, you know what, if you don't understand these rules, ask me about them. If you want extra hints and tips, I'll give them to you. All those things that you need. Have them both there. So most people, when they do these things, have one or the other. They either have a support group and they're really good at setting up, they've got no one in there that really knows what they're doing. Or they work with someone who knows what they're doing, but they haven't really got much of a support group there. Make sure you've got them both. That gives you the best chance of getting where you need to be. You need to have that ongoing plan which is sustainable. So that is something which always kind of gets forgotten about. Now, after doing all these things, I've kind of looked at these reasons why people need this help, and then I've come up with a little thing to do which is going to help a lot of people out. 21-day detox challenge. It's run through a Facebook group, so you've got that support. It's run from different people, so you've got different kind of people in there that may not be in your immediate kind of social group, so they're going to be able to help you out when you need it. I'm running it overall, so you've got my advice from there. £21, 21 days, nice and simple. Nice little challenge to try and eliminate all those things that could be causing you dramas and holding you back, and then giving you the chance to reintroduce them in a structured way to see if anything is getting in the way of your goals. What is stopping you getting that fat loss? Also going to teach you how to eat properly while we're doing it. So you've got access to that private Facebook group where you've got posts with the meals, get ideas and help each other. You've got my knowledge. You also get email tips on motivation. So as much as we all use social media all the time, sometimes it's good to have that email access. So you've got that way of saying, I don't want to put this on social media. I don't want to ask on Facebook this question, but I've got that access to be able to talk to someone as well. You've got a manual with recipes and a shopping list. Although it's a detox kind of challenge and you are eliminating certain things, it's a list of things that you can have instead of saying, right, just don't have that, don't have that, don't have that. So here's a list, you can have what you want of this. Use this as your shopping list. That manual also explains all the things that you're going to be doing. It talks you through why you're cutting certain things out and how it can make you feel, how that can adjust certain things in your body. It's also got a few recipes in there to get you started, although you get more and more of that Facebook group with each other, helping each other out. There's also a plan for reintroducing things. So instead of just cutting it out completely, you then reintroduce it bit by bit to see if it does make a difference. If you're fine with dairy when you reintroduce it, then of course crack on and keep using it. If it does cause you drama, then you know. So it's got that one. You've also got the ongoing help through the fitness experts. We've all got access to that as part of your membership. So you're going to have that from the person who's run the course, say me. You know that that person's going to know what you've done instead of going from different diet to diet and different people running different things. At least you know if you go through this, coming out at the end of it, you can go on to the fitness expert stuff and get that advice from me still. So that has everything on there. Obviously, you're not going to be asking any questions. That's the advantage of going to one of the live ones, is you get that opportunity to ask loads of questions. So next time one of these comes up, if you didn't go last time, then make sure you get on there and have a little look and find out as much as you can find out. Cool.